First tonight, a crucial court decision over plans to house 1,700 migrants at a former RAF base in Essex. The government wants to use the buildings near the village of Wethersfield. Braintree Council had tried to block it, saying it would break planning rules. But today their arguments were rejected by a High Court judge. This from our reporter Zoe O'Brien.
This military base came one step closer to becoming a temporary home for hundreds of asylum seekers today. Braintree District Council lost their High Court bid to prevent the former RAF site at Wethersfield in Essex being used to house up to 1,700 men waiting for their cases to be heard. This afternoon, Mr Justice Waxman concluded that the court does not have the legal authority to grant the council's application for an injunction, therefore ruling in favour of the government. It was a disappointing blow to the local authority.
We remain of the view that Wethersfield Airfield is an unsuitable site, given the lack of capacity in local services, its isolated location, the size of the site, and the fact that the scale of development proposed could have a significant impact on the local community. A lot of people around the country are watching this and, of course, are in our local communities affected by the proposals. We know that there are other cases of large sites being proposed by the Home Office in other parts of the country, and we're in contact with those areas to ensure that they're able to understand what's happening here in this, which seems to be really a test case now.
The judge also sided with the government that this does constitute an emergency and therefore taking over the land would be legal under planning law, known as Class Q. The Home Office says there are more than 48,000 people currently accommodated in 380 hotels at a cost of £6.2 million a day. Government modelling suggests there may be as many as 56,000 arrivals by small boat by the end of the year. This, they argued, constitutes the emergency. But residents argue it's totally inappropriate.
Doctors, dentists, social care, it's just not available. Transport network there is not available. Even if they're going to bus them to Braintree for a day out and a day back, it's just so inappropriate there because it can't be supported for that sort of number of asylum seekers. If it were a sensible number, I think the local people would support it. But 1,700, it's crazy.
Braintree District Council will now have to decide whether or not to mount an appeal against the decision. The judge gave permission for the appeal immediately this afternoon, saying it must take place as soon as possible. Zoe O'Brien, BBC Look East.
Well, our political correspondent Andrew Sinclair is here, and the implications of this are huge.
Yeah, using military bases for asylum seekers was a key plank of the government's new policy to deal with the small boats. If the government had lost today, that policy would have been torpedoed. At the same time, there are several other places around the country which are being eyed up for migrants, which were watching very closely what happened with this case with a view to taking legal action themselves. I think now they probably won't take legal action because the courts have decided that what the government wants to do is legally correct.
So how will this go down politically?
Well, local Conservatives are telling me tonight that they'll read the judgment carefully before responding, but I sense they're very disappointed. All the opposition parties on Braintree Council also agree that this was just a bad idea. Tonight, both the Greens, Labour and Independents are saying to me that they believe the council wouldn't be in this position if the government had processed asylum claims more quickly. But now that we are where we are, and now that we've had this judgment, they say the priority is to make things as good as possible for people living nearby and for those who come to stay on the base.
While we've got you here, Andrew,